Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to track 3 on day 3. This is the 3 o'clock session entitled The Future of Insights Analytics. We are pleased to have presenting today Chris Modulewski.
You did.
All right. He's the CEO of MarketSite LLC. Interestingly, before he became CEO of MarketSite, he founded a company called Gemius that does web audience measurement, and he grew it from a 3-person company to a 200-person company with 95% market share in 16 different countries. That is not his fun fact. His fun fact is that he and his wife are self-proclaimed nerds with over 4,000 books at home, most of which are science fiction and fantasy. So, with that as the backdrop, Chris, the stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Now, that fun fact is particularly fun in that I just outed my wife as a major nerd. The real truth is that most of those science fiction and fantasy books are probably mine. She would say that those are not hers, but that's not actually true. So first off, thanks a lot, everybody, for coming out. I know it's the tail end of the last day of the conference this week, and so I do thank you guys very much for coming out and being here for this conversation. As Steve said, I've kind of been in this industry for a long time, and I'm kind of dating myself a little bit. But I remember distinctly working with my first client ever in the insights field, and that client wanted to get paper reports. He wanted a big, fat book on his desk every Monday morning with insights and tables and charts. Times have changed. I don't remember the last time I had to deliver a paper deliverable to a client. PowerPoint decks, sure. PDFs, sure. Interactive dashboards, absolutely. But an actual paper product, not so much. And the pace of change is accelerating. Not just in the insights field, not just in marketing generally, but everything about modern society is different today than it was 20 years ago, and the pace of that change is getting faster and faster. Things are more integrated, they're more immediate, they're more omnipresent. Everything is just more. And these are the kinds of big societal trends that shape how we live our personal lives, how we live our professional lives. Everything about it is going to be affecting our industry. And they affect how we prioritize our work and what we need to prioritize and look at as we go through working with data and working with our insights. And this is something that I see every day at MarketSite. Basically, as one of the world's largest insights analytics and data visualization platforms, we work with over 470 clients and there's 6,000 or so users. And day in and day out, we're hearing about the challenges that people have with their disparate data environments, their different data types, their different data formats, the constant never-ending pressure for faster, and faster. And what I wanted to talk with you guys about today is to really talk about what we have learned from those conversations with those clients. What we see as being the big tentpole issues and priorities that are going to shape how we work with data, not over the next year, not over the next quarter, but looking out a little bit further, what the direction is for our industry and how the technology that enables us to do our work is going to evolve. Where should we be looking at in terms of priorities for how we select the platforms, the data sources, the data suppliers that we work with? So, I suspect that everybody in this room is what I would call an empiricist. Whether we're an insights professional, whether we're a data scientist, whether we're a researcher, whatever sort of label we apply, we're in this business because we believe that evidence drives better decisions. We collect data, we analyze data in order to help our audiences, help our bosses, help our clients make better, more actionable, safer, wiser decisions. And that is a very key and fundamental core value that as insights professionals we all share. And historically and traditionally, insights analytics has been a theoretically straightforward field. We go out and we gather some evidence, we collect some information, and then we think about it, we analyze it, we slice and dice it, we make julienne fries, we do all of the things to the underlying data. We package it and deliver it to our audience, who then goes off and makes their great decisions. This is what I kind of consider the space of insights analytics, the process that once we have the data, once we have the evidence, to try and make sense of that. Seems easy, right? Unfortunately, in the modern world, it's getting more and more complicated because the number of data sources, the number of consumer touch points is proliferating. We're touching consumers in more places, more frequently, and in more ways than ever in the past. And that pace is accelerating every single day. And each of those touch points is generating more and newer data that is coming into our organizations faster and faster. If that weren't hard enough, now all of the different ways that we're packaging that data is also evolving and proliferating and changing. And if that weren't enough, audiences are growing. Everybody is saying, we've got all of this data, let's get at this data, let's work with this data, let's all do all of these things and do these incredible creative things with it that are going to help drive our business. Seems easy, right? The problem is that one of the icons on this slide has not been duplicated here. And that's this one. The part where we actually live and work. The part where we're actually thinking about what the data means, we're doing the analyses, we're figuring out what kind of conclusions we can draw and recommendations that we can make. Now, it would be a wonderful world if our teams were able to scale in line with the volume of data and in line with all of the demands that clients give us. But unfortunately, that's not how things work. And so that is one of the principal challenges that as an industry, we right now are facing. And this was actually, I think, captured very, very well in the most recent GRIT report that we all got in our event packets, where basically there was a great quote, and this is, I think, the only time when I'll actually read something that is also on the screen because I think it's so important. Buyer satisfaction depends on measurable drivers, cost and timeliness, and providers' overall ability to execute the work and report the results. That is critical for us as an industry. That is critical for us as professionals in this field because it encapsulates all of those pressures that we are facing and that we are under, which the GRIT report also summarizes very nicely and as cheaper, faster, and better. That's what we all want. That's what suppliers want to provide. That's what corporate researchers want to get from their suppliers. That's what our internal clients want from us. And the way in which that is evolving, the way in which that is basically happening, is being driven by huge macro shifts in our society. The biggest one, the one that I think is going to drive everything in our industry over the next 5, 10, and 15 years, is a reduction in friction. Today, if I want to get a car to pick me up at the conference center, I can pick up my phone and in 2 minutes there's a car there waiting for me. If I want to get dog food delivered to my house, I again pick up my phone, and an hour or two later, Amazon has provided it to me. If I want to field a multi-country customer satisfaction study, I can go online, and within the space of an hour or two, it's in field. This is often characterized as speed. And yes, that's true. It is fast, and it is faster than it ever has been in the past. But the real game changer isn't the speed itself. It's the reduction in friction. The fact that we can do all of these things, we can execute on all of these initiatives so much faster and more smoothly and more easily without having to wait and go through various all manner of bureaucratic procedures. That is basically huge for the industry because that creates an expectation that is on all of us. If people can get their pet food delivered without friction, they also want to get their data delivered without friction. They want to be able to collect that data without friction. They want to get reports and insights without friction. That is the single defining pressure that as an industry and as a field we are facing. And what that means is that our platforms, the tools that we use to collect and analyze that data, has to lean into that, has to speak to that desire to eliminate friction from the process. Now, the GRIT report talks a fair bit in terms of transactionality. And that reduction in friction is a direct predecessor to the increase in transactionality. Because when there is less friction, when there is no friction in a transactional process, that suddenly the transaction can happen that much faster. And this means that when we're looking at insights analytics platforms, we have to ask ourselves the simple question: how does it remove friction from our workflow? How does it streamline? How does it automate? How does it make everything flow smoother? The second major trend is promiscuity. Pro tip: don't do a Google image search on the word promiscuous. The result will be disturbing. Promiscuity in this sense basically is that all systems need to talk to all other systems. Once upon a time, every single data set could have been siloed. It could have existed in isolation. System A didn't need to know about System B or talk to it. That's not the case anymore. Today, every single system needs to pull data from other systems and push data out to other systems. And the same holds true for all of our reporting. This means that when looking at insights analytics platforms, we need to look at their API strategies. We need to look at the tools and the resources that they provide to facilitate connections across multiple systems, across data types, across data sources, and across data formats. The third big kind of game-changing trend is visualization. And the Grit report also commented on this in a very interesting way, because clients are already on the front lines of this. They're saying we need better visuals, we need better reporting, we need more insightful delivery of interactivity to highlight our data for our clients. Suppliers at the moment are largely in catch-up mode on this front. But this is key because, again, good visuals reduce the friction in gaining understanding from the data that we're working with. And so this all sort of flows back into that concept of reducing friction. And one of the things that we've been seeing over the last year or so as working with clients is an increasing push on the part of suppliers to facilitate better visualization. They're getting there, clients, but you should absolutely hold all of our feet to the fire on getting there faster, because we really need to. The final element is collaboration. Nowadays, with social media, with instant communication, everybody expects everything to be collaborative in nature. Knowledge Hounds presented a great example of how that works. Knowledge Hound Intellis' presentation was awesome for that, right? They talked about how they were able to collaborate more effectively, share insights more effectively. That is the kind of key thing that is necessary in the modern world and becoming more necessary. Kids coming out of school today and entering the workforce, they expect that as digital natives. And all insights analytics platforms that we look at should have that kind of collaborative nature in and of themselves and in their user interface design. That collaborative nature ties in closely with the similar reductions in friction that can be gained from that promiscuity, from those API connectors and the like. So, in broad brushstrokes, as I kind of look at the industry, these are sort of the key major drivers that are what will be shaping how our platforms change and evolve and improve over the coming years. And these are the areas where, as you look at different insights analytics platforms, as you consider tools and solutions, you should be asking about. Because any platform that wants to remain in this business, any platform that wants to service its clients well, has to be able to speak to these different dimensions. Because if they're not, I can guarantee you there's a scrappy startup somewhere that just closed a Series A round, and they will. And these are sort of the macroeconomic trends. These trends are not going away, and they are only accelerating. For our part at MarketSight, we think that this future is incredibly exciting. I know that my engineers are well aligned on their roadmap to deliver against all of these sort of overarching trends. And we very much hope that we will be able to work with you guys in the future in this grand, glorious, new, integrated, frictionless, and promiscuous future. Thanks a lot.
Chris, let me ask you one question that came in. It said, the question is, how will this evolution of data, technology, business, and business change the way that you hire, recruit, train new insights professionals?
So I think that's a very good question. I think that one of the things that we are seeing right now is we're seeing an evolution in the skill sets that work very well in this kind of an integrated world. So once upon a time, if I were a data analyst, I needed a good grounding in statistics, I needed a good grounding in marketing and business. These days, maybe I also need Python skills, maybe I need data science skills, maybe I need R skills. There's a blending happening between the data analysis world, the data visualization world, and the software development world. And these are some of the areas where I think as we look to this integrated future, the more aware we are of those points of intersection, the better we'll be able to A, hire, the more responsive we will be to evolving needs. And I think that's sort of the direction that in general, as a field, as a profession, we're going to go. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's going to have to learn how to code tomorrow. That would be really cool, but that's not really what's going to happen. But I think having an awareness of this and the vocabulary to engage with these subjects is going to be critical.
Chris, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.